Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of 3 different types of noise reduction software for astrophotography use and also for use outside of that in one of their cases. Now the 3 that I've got picked out for you are EZ-Denoise, Topaz Denoise and NoiseXTerminator. As I said, we're going to be taking a look at some side-by-side visual comparisons, but aside from that, I've been racking my brains for a while and tried to make you a little bit of a scorecard, if you will, but we're going to be ranking them based on cost, ease of use, speed and image quality throughout. So we're going to jump straight into it, and I just will mention at this point that I do have affiliate links for both Topaz and all of the RC Astro software, so if you want to purchase those at any point and you feel like supporting me at the same time, man, it would be appreciated, and huge thanks to everybody who already has done. Your support has gone a mile. It really is helping me out. Now, in terms of EZ-Denoise, this is the first one we're looking at. This is this website right here, darkarchon.internet-box. Cost, completely free and very easy to install. If I just go over to pixinsight right here, you install this by going up to resources, updates, manage repositories, click add, and then you'd enter effectively that URL that we were just looking at, like I have here. Hit OK, and the next time you load up pixinsight, these scripts should have loaded for you, the EZ Processing suite. So right there you'd have EZ-Denoise, and then you've got the rest of that entire suite, and it comes at the low price of $0. You are free to donate to the creator if you wish, and he does do great work. But yeah, 10 out of 10. It's free. You can't really grumble at that. Now next up is Denoise AI. As you can see, the little web-based demonstration of it here, and it really does work fantastically well on terrestrial images, as I'm going to show you a little bit of later, but it also works well on astro images when used with care. Why do I say with care? Well, I'm going to demonstrate that too, but basically the price of this one, you can try it out for free, or if you want to buy it outright, it comes in at $79.99. You can also buy it as part of an entire package, the image quality bundle, which is actually how I bought the entire thing for $199.99. And my ratings for this in terms of price, I think it's about a 7 out of 10 if you're buying alone, you just want the Denoise AI. Or if, like me, you're going to use the entire bundle, not just for astrophotography, but also for terrestrial photography too, then I would rate it more of an 8 out of 10 because I still use this regularly. Do you know what I mean? Not too much these days for astrophotography because I use this one more now. This is NoiseXTerminator by RC Astro. Again, this is available with a free trial if you need to give it out a go first. As you can see, a little web-based demonstration too of what it does. It really does work like that. But if you want to go ahead and purchase this, if you just click purchase, it'll take you through to the next page where it's priced baseline at $59.95, or if you already own some other RC Astro software, it can be picked up for a reduced price of $49.95. Now then, value wise, I've got this marked as an 8 out of 10 if purchased at full price, or $49.99, as I said, 9 out of 10 if you buy it at that price. I think it's extremely good value for money. I can't really think of anything you could spend money on in terms of astrophotography and get the kind of image quality boost that this offers for this low of a price tag. Normally you'd be looking at spending thousands more or moving home, that kind of thing. Now on to some basic comparisons. So first of all, if you get lost with the kind of images what we're looking at here, you'll always notice in the header I've kind of written down exactly what it is. So this is no denoise, linear phase, EZ-Denoise, linear phase, Topaz in the linear phase, more on this in a moment, and NoiseXTerminator in the linear phase. Now sometimes in modern astrophotography workflows, when processing images, you want to keep an image in its linear phase for quite a while, especially with more advanced processing techniques, and Topaz is at a disadvantage in that, because while you are able to denoise your images if you're using either EZ-Denoise or NoiseXTerminator and not have to make the image non-linear yet, you can't do that with Topaz. Otherwise, what I'm about to demonstrate happens. So if I just zoom in a little here, you can take a look at the whirling dervish portion of the Sol Nebula. Apologies about all the noises. I've got a bit of a sore throat, but you can see there's a huge issue. All of these just have an STF stretch, so this is what Topaz does. It does not work on linear data. You can't use it that way. There's the non-denoised image in the top left for reference. EZ-Denoise has done a great job, really quite impressive, but ultimately I think leaps and bounds ahead in terms of overall smoothness. I do hope this is coming across for you on YouTube. I've recorded this in 4K on purpose in order to try and get the highest possible bitrate so you can do your own comparison at the same time as me. For me, it's the clear winner. It's extremely, extremely smooth. And if I just find a different portion, so maybe up at these little pillars over here, there's a very low contrast region. Copy that view across, and just for giggles we'll copy it across to that too. So once again, the non-denoised image top left, EZ-Denoise, denoise top right, done a great job, and NoiseXTerminator done an even better job, I think, over here in the bottom right. Now, that's all well and good, the linear phase of processing. How about taking things into the non-linear? What if you want to do some non-linear denoising of your image? So we're going to open these back up now. So once again, no denoising, top left. EZ-Denoise performed now in the non-linear phase. So it didn't have anything done beforehand. I just stretched it, then ran it through EZ-Denoise. Again, it's done a very good job. It's designed to be used in the linear phase, but it still works great outside of it. Topaz has just been run at Denoise AI standards. Just about default settings, but you can see we've got a major issue with stars being over sharpened, and more on that in just a second. I'm going to show you how to avoid all of that. And NoiseXTerminator now used in the non-linear phase. And once again, at this point in the comparison, the clear winner for me is going to be, once again, NoiseXTerminator. It's a better overall result, and we'll talk about this later, but it's way faster than all of the other options, really. But Topaz shows promise aside from those stars, so how do you get around that? Well, it's always best to not trust Topaz with your stars, because effectively 9 times out of 10 it ruins them in my experience. So it's better to take them out using something like StarXTerminator or StarNet and rescreen them back in after denoising the base image, and that gets you a result like this. So as you can hopefully see, this is the one before. This is after rescreening the stars back in and denoising the base image. And now it's much more competitive along with NoiseXTerminator. It's, you know, overall it's pretty close. To say it's probably not being trained on images of space like NoiseXTerminator has, this particular AI, it's done a great job. Pretty impressive. Let's take another look at that similar region we pointed out earlier. It's quite low contrast area. So I'll just copy this across to each of them. So just to be clear, that is how I would always use Topaz if you're using it on your astrophotography images. Make sure you're taking the stars out first, denoising the starless and bringing it back in. Then adding your stars back in with pixel math. Looking at this now, you can see that Topaz has added a little bit of extra detail. It came up with a little bit, but it's nothing, you know, too wild. So I'm not going to go crazy about that. I would just be slightly more careful if I was applying it for one of my own images, and make sure that it wasn't adding artifacts like that. But you can see that both EZ-Denoise and NoiseXTerminator have remained very true to the source data, so that's good to see. So I'll just minimize all of these comparisons because these were nebulas, of course, nebulae. And now we're going to take a look at M31. So this is some more low signal to noise ratio data on purpose selected for this, because this is the kind of thing that really does need denoising. If you've got an image that's 25 hours deep, it ain't going to need that much denoising, most likely, or at least not as much as this does, which was about 2.5 hours. Now, top left, we've got no denoising. Top right, we've got EZ-Denoise ran. Bottom left, Topaz with the rescreened stars, you know, put back in. And bottom right, we have NoiseXTerminator ran. So all of these look good. Well, all of the denoised ones look good. The top left is a bit grainy. But you'll notice once again, Topaz has added some detail that really doesn't exist. So it's detected what it thinks is probably some kind of texture and thought, I'll fill that in ever so slightly. It doesn't look unnatural, and if you weren't viewing this side by side with the reference source data, you probably wouldn't even notice that this had happened. But I thought it important to try and do this deliberately, just to show you. You could easily avoid having this happen while you're using Topaz, but I thought I'd leave it in and show you that this kind of thing does happen all the time with images, and some people really hate seeing it. Me, I don't really like it in my own images, but if someone does like it, more power to you. It's, you know, it's your telescope, your money, your camera. Do whatever makes you happy. NoiseXTerminator, however, done a good job, and if I just show you now, if I pass through BlurXTerminator and NoiseXTerminator, you notice the stars have been massively shrank in that bottom right image to the point of it effectively being as it was. So this was taken with the William Optics Red Cat, and it's undersampled, so those stars now look kind of blocky, but that's how they truly should have been. But we haven't been able to, even with BlurXTerminator first, been able to recover that kind of extra detail that's been added by Topaz. So it is indeed invented detail, if you will. Now, a few marks on these things that I want to give you. Ease of use, well, I'll just show you really quickly. I mean, let's say you've got an image you want to work on, like this no denoised image up here. You go to Script, Easy Processing Suite, EZ-Denoise. And if you want to use it like I do most of the time, when I used to use it, I don't really use it anymore. I would run it at defaults, tending to just run it like this and hit Run EZ-Denoise. The downside, this is feeding into the speed side of things. Man, is it slow. We're talking on an RGB image like this, because it has to work on channel 0, channel 1, channel 2 before it completes. Probably on the region of about 10 minutes, and this is with a fast CPU. I've got a Ryzen 9 5900X, so this is 12 cores, 24 threads, water cooled. It's no slouch, but it takes ages. 3 out of 10. I've given it for speed, but ease of use at defaults 8 out of 10. If you have to start getting spicy and messing around with things, I think that's going to be quite a lot lower. So that's EZ-Denoise for you. Now Topaz, I've marked it down as a 6 out of 10 in terms of usability. Basically what you'd be looking at doing is taking the stars out of your image, saving that as a file format that Topaz can read, such as a TIFF. Then you'd browse to or drag and drop your image. So in this case, we're just going to browse. Going to open my stylus image right there, and then effectively pick which AI model you want to use. So it's got a bunch that you can take a look at. As you can see, it brings up previews of them all here. And to just highlight what I was talking about, as you can see, standard is adding that extra detail we talked about. You can see it doing that. Whereas low light isn't. It's just accentuating what was already there. It's not really inventing anything. If I just zoom in a little bit. So you see, if I was careful, I could have done that, but I want to leave it in deliberately for you so you can see one of the pitfalls of Topaz, as much as I like it. Now I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because it's a slightly messy workflow. You have to pick the one that you like. So let's say you'd go low light or standard or whichever you want. Click to save the image, and then you'd be bringing it back into pixinsight and recombining your stylus and your stars together, perhaps using, if possible, rescreening, as StarXTerminator gives you the option to generate a star image and then unscreen the stars. That is always better than just a simple addition of putting your stars back in, where you end up with the extra brightness over particularly bright parts of your image. So that's 6 out of 10. But in terms of speed, I give Topaz, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. I've marked down right here because while it works extremely fast for me, you can see the speed at which it's refreshing that view, even on a large megapixel image. That is because I've got a fast graphics card. I'm doing this on an RTX 4070 Ti, so again, no slouch. It was not this fast back when I was using an RTX 2060, and it's certainly nowhere near this fast if you're just using your CPU alone. So it's all worth bearing in mind. While it looks snappy on mine, it may not be this fast unless you have quite a high-end PC. But yeah, 7 out of 10 I have marked down for speed on this. Next up, NoiseXTerminator. Now, NoiseXTerminator could not get really much simpler. So you just double click your icon. Once it's all installed, basically the same method, by the way, as EZ-Denoise. You add it through resources and repositories. Once your AI is selected, up to date on this one, you basically select the amount of denoising that you want. So further right on this bar is going to give you stronger denoising effects. Further left is going to give you weaker denoising effects. In the case of this particular image down on the bottom right, I used about 0.75. And on the detail slider, higher values are going to get you slightly more detail, but too far and you're going to end up with ringing artifacts around stars and that kind of thing. So just be careful with that one. But overall, you can see you've got two controls. You can't really mess this one up. If you want more denoise, use more. If you want less, use less. And it applies extremely quickly, even without the CUDA cores being used in my case. I've not set it back up on pixinsight. It still works extremely fast. I am going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's super easy to use UI and it's all integrated nicely in with pixinsight. Always works, I've found as well. I don't really need to fiddle around much. I can just eyeball it and go. Speed, I mean, 8 out of 10 without the CUDA cores activated. When you do have it set up and running, if you've got a suitable GPU, 10 out of 10. It is like that, and you know your image has been denoised. It's super, super, super fast. Finally, I think we're just going to take a last little talk about image quality overall. Now, Topaz can get you some extremely beautiful results, but it is, if used with a little bit of a heavy hand, capable of also giving you some kind of fake results. We all know it by now in terms of Topaz, but it's undoubted that when used carefully, it can give you some really nice quality results. I've used it for a long time myself, always been happy with it, and I've only just really recently switched over to effectively exclusively using BlurXTerminator for my astrophotography denoising. And that's not to say I don't use Topaz anymore though, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. Now, image quality, EZ-Denoise, I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm giving that a 7 out of 10. And I'm not balancing that based on price, of course, because it's free. If I was doing that, it'd have to be higher, but I'm just comparing it based on if money was no object, it's a 7 out of 10. Topaz, I'd say a 6 if you're going to apply it to an image as is, like we talked about this here, where you end up with these dirty stars and it looks awful, versus when you do the rescreening methods and it starts to look really nice. So 6 out of 10. Otherwise, 8.5 out of 10 if you're doing the starless rescreening method. NoiseXTerminator, 10 out of 10. Nothing beats it. In my experience, I haven't been able to get anything to denoise as effectively, cleanly, and non-destructively as EZ-Denoise. It is what it is. Look, it's a one-trick pony. It only works on astrophotography, but my God, does it work well on it, you know? I've always been of the school of buy once, cry once. So that's how I kind of look at these things. And as I mentioned earlier, you're not going to get a better image quality boost by spending 50 or 60 bucks on anything else, really. Not even close. Now, Topaz, as I've shown already, can be used to good effect on astrophotography images, but also one of my things that I like to do with it is because I enjoy terrestrial photography. I'm just bring up a couple of quick demonstrations for you. So this is where it's extra value for money, I think, comes in. If I just get this to hopefully show you there. So if I just slide this across, you can hopefully see the effect that that's having. If you go for a side-by-side, in fact, the denoising is beautiful on things where it's kind of AI models have been trained better. So I'm not really messing with any settings here. You could dial it in further, 100%. But this is already a decent image, but it takes it up to the next level. Take another quick look at another terrestrial demonstration. So here is a shot from Royal Armouries. Extremely dim location to shoot. Very hard to get the shots that you want. You can see the image on the left. We've got a lot of noise that we're dealing with. The image on the right, far cleaner. immediately, far cleaner. Background noise removed. Does a great job, gets you the shot that you'd intended to capture on the day. Much easier. A couple more quick demonstrations. So again, Royal Armouries. Once again, so you can see the amount of noise on the left image versus over here on the right. It's really cleaned things up. In this kind of case, it's not adding any detail or anything, it's just cleaning up what's already there very admirably. It's, you know, this is why I still like to use it, because when used carefully it gets you, like I've said, closer to the shot that you'd intended on taking almost every time. That's not to say it still can't be misused, but take a quick look at this little mallard here. Once again, look at how much it cleans this up around this thing. So while it still works great on astrophotography, if you're the type of person that's going to multi-use it and you're not just buying it for that, then that's where the value for money proposition in terms of Topaz, I think, really comes in. I'm going to have to wrap this up because I'll be honest with you, I'm really struggling with my throat at this point, and I think it's time for some rest. So I hope that that's been useful to some of you out there. As I've said, if you do feel like supporting me on the channel, it would be hugely appreciated if you check out my affiliate links. It costs you nothing extra, but it massively helps me out. And a thanks again to everybody who's already used those links. You really have been helping support me. On the note of support, thank you very much indeed for watching the video. Thank you to all my YouTube channel members, Patreon members, and all the general support that you've all been given. Much love for all of you out there. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. So until then, look after yourselves and clear skies.